and it is 8:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I welcome you all to War Notes. I am Paviel G, your host, and I come to you every day, God willing, with not only life and breath, with truth and clarity and heart. I thank you all for being here. And if you are just joining, please be welcomed, feel welcome. You are welcome. If you've been with me here before, I thank you for sticking through. We are nearly 400 subscribers strong, and I'm reaching out to everyone listening across the globe. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and also share this broadcast with folks who need to hear calm and facts in a major storm across the United States, across the globe, across humanity. Today, we are talking the wars abroad, a shaken global economy, price hikes at home, milk, sugar, bread, and meat, and how policies, tariffs, and conflict all weave together into what many are calling the new Great Depression. I will also update you on what's happening in Ukraine and Russia and what's going on in Qatar and how all of this comes back to impact us here in the US, especially Black and Latino communities. So let's go ahead and dive in. In Russia and Ukraine, Ukrainian forces have made advances in the Sumy border region, pushing toward the state border, repelling Russian offenses in Donetsk and Kharkiv. Civilians in Kherson continue to suffer under shelling. I do apologize. I lost connection there just for a quick moment. Back to what I was saying about Russia, that Russia is reacting sharply to moves in Europe. The EU considered using frozen Russian assets, $300 to $350 billion, to fund Ukraine's defense and reconstruction. Russia has threatened legal and non legal retaliation if those assets are seized. Railway and fuel supply lines in Kharkiv, Sumy regions attacked by Ukraine, damaging infrastructure and fuel tankers. This is a part of an active strategy to choke off Russian logistics. Now we move over to Qatar in the Middle East. Israel conducted airstrikes in Doha, Qatar on Hamas operatives. Reports say six died, including five Hamas members and a Qatari security officer. Qatar is condemning the strike. An urgent summit of Arab and Muslim leaders is convened in Doha to respond. The attack is straining Gulf diplomacy. Arab states are questioning assumptions about U.S. protection and the nature of alliances. In just one brief moment, we'll return from a 30-second pause and we'll walk right over to what's going on in war and diplomacy. As far as war is concerned, Kremlin says talks with Ukraine are currently paused. Russia accuses Europe of hindering peace negotiation efforts, especially around security guarantees and post war territorial lines. Poland has called for a NATO backed no fly zone over Ukraine in response to drone missile incursions into its airspace. NATO and the U.S. remain cautious given risk of escalation, according to the Washington Post and seven other reputable sources. Now, when we talk about economy and price pressures here in the U.S., here on the home front, we're talking stuff that's affecting you and I both, and everybody across the United States. The big word inflation, everybody. Great Depression is here. The Great Depression, too. Food and energy prices remain volatile. War disruptions, supply chain issues, and rising demand lead to elevated costs. Tariffs and trade policy continue to add cost to imports, agricultural chemicals, fertilizers, machinery, and if those are costlier, output drops or prices rise further. Now, as far as grocery stores, while I don't have exact national Walmart and Aldi price lists for today, the latest reports show that bread and sugar are up, of course, milk slightly easing, but still expensive. Meat, especially beef and chicken, remains high across many U.S. states. In regions with fewer stores or transport issues, Latino and Black neighborhoods are seeing even steeper markups. Now, when we walk over to the health zone, the health area of life, which is very important, conversations ongoing about stripping certain benefits like SNAP food assistance, medical coverage, social safety nets for everybody. Doesn't matter what colors you are, but these cuts disproportionately hit Black and Latino communities even harder. Now, statistics do show that there are more white Americans on SNAP benefits and medical benefits, Medicaid and Medicare. Look at the statistics. And you would think that it would be more of the Black and Latino communities. And this is not true. That's why it's important for folks to do their research that statistically there are more white Americans on government benefits, of course, because a lot of them qualify. Remember, it's only a small percentage of folks who are rich. But anywho's, unfortunately, these attempts to erase or downplay Black history and education without the full understanding, shall I say, of cultural and historical impact, um, is it's rough, it's unfair, and it's injustice altogether. Now, what does this all mean for Black and Latino communities? When food, rent, utilities rise faster than wages, many in our communities slide into debt. Very important to talk about food insecurity or have to choose between essentials. Do I heat my home today or do I eat? Same thing with a lot of folks in the UK. Do they heat their home today or do they eat? Now, these health risks, they increase. Why? Because you got poor nutrition, lack of access to health care, stress, chronic conditions like diabetes and hypertension. They worsen when resources are tight. Another thing that's very important to grasp is that political violence and international conflicts may feel far away, but they shape foreign policy. They shape migrant flows. They shape refugee crises. And they also, most importantly, shape race relations here in the United States. Remember that. Also, remember that when these politicians, when they strip benefits, it isn't abstract, it's personal. When programs meant to protect people are weakened or removed, those with less margin, perhaps, they suffer they suffer first and they suffer the worst. So what am I asking you all as my radio listeners to do? What am I reaching out to say to you all through my old school radio broadcast right here with you all? Family, if you want to understand more, you have to do more. Vote and speak out, support community efforts, help one another. This isn't a time for apathy. It's a time to reach out and help folks and do what you can instead of just ranting about how bad this is and how bad this is. Do something about it. And I'm not saying run out into the street and protest. You can protest right from your home. If you can use your phone for Google and other unnecessary things at some times in your life, because we all do, you can also take the time to help yourself by helping your neighbor and your community. It might not make sense now, but if you open up your mind and you read more, I tell people all the time, read, 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 read. If you read more, you'll learn more. And if you learn more, then there's less ignorance in the world. Doesn't matter what color you are. It's not about skin color. It's not about if you're red or you're blue, what political spectrum you're on. It has nothing to do with that. There's a lot of politicians who don't read. They really honestly, they don't read. They might dress in a suit or dress in a dress suit and go to work and go to these offices, but a lot of them are not reading, and that's why their intelligence is lacking, and they're making decisions that are not feasible for everyone of every skin color. That's my point. Now, with that saying reading, I want to also say again, my book is available. All of my books are available online. You just have to go to paviogallegos.com, or you could just Google my name. You can find all my books on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But because you guys are my radio listeners here, then you'll get this information here. That if you order my book online, Trump's Revenge on MAGA and the People, okay, Trump's Revenge on MAGA and the People, you can get it online from me, half of the price, right now for less than $10. You either go to my website, check out my description here on YouTube, you go to my website, or if not, email me at bwtbgroup@gmail.com. Let me know that you want a copy of my book. I'll let you know how to go about it. And I'll also send you an extra book with that as well. Okay? Now, if you have any topics that you want me to cover, any questions, or you need clarity on anything, I'm Pavi, but I consider myself to be an expert in certain fields. I consider myself to be an expert in truth. I consider myself to be an expert in honesty. Honesty being policy at all times, no matter what situation you're in. I consider myself to be an expert in stepping into our ancestors' shoes. And because of that, because of those things that I just mentioned, it's easy to understand my life and how many things I have going on around me, and how I try to share this information with many other folks, from buying land that anybody could buy right now, to everything that I can share with you out of my brain, because I feel that we can learn from everyone. Amen. All right. Again, my email is bwtbgroup, B as in boy, WTB group@gmail.com. And if this broadcast for any reason gave you insight or hope, please subscribe if you wish to do so. It's free to do so. And if you're able to subscribe, it just helps us get a little bit closer to the goal here. I'm trying to reach many people. Share with your friends and family, especially those who need calm truth in a noisy world. Now, thank you all for being here. Again, I'm Pavi LG. This is War Notes, and we've looked at war abroad, economic tremors at home. We've looked at policy battles, health risks, and what's at stake for us. Now, remember, truth is a form of resistance. We survive by knowing more. We survive by speaking more, working more for community, and that's how we progress. And that's how we progress together, shall I say. I'm your host again, Pavi G. Please stay informed, stay courageous, and if you can't pronounce my name, just call me Pavi. Stay courageous, stay together. I'm sending out peace, I'm sending out blessings, and may you, behind your phone screen, behind your computer right now, may you find stability even in the storm. Remember that there's always somebody else in the world that's worse than you right now, so just thank your blessings, because somebody else desires to be in your shoes right now, maybe in your situation, and you think it's the worst, but their situation is far beyond which you can probably even touch. So remember that every time you might get into emotion, right? And you say, oh, wow, my life is so bad. I got this going on. Oh, I live in the worst. No, just always remember there's somebody else in the world that is way worse off than you. Okay, so just count your blessings. Thou shalt not complain, right? All right. Until next time, y'all, have a beautiful and blessed day. Thank you for listening.